I don't know why it isn't working. Well, hitting there, I don't know why it isn't working. So yeah, that's basically that. And you can select this individually or the whole layer. You can see the difference individually. You could just, you just get the ellipse, but the whole layer you just get the, you just get the whole thing. So if you just want the ellipse and want to change its stroke, you can cancel. Let's just make its stroke. Let's just go 0. Alright, so there's no stroke right now, and there you have a shape layer, and you can now animate it as you want. And let me just create another layer. Just hit things like that. Alright, and a solid layer, no, not a solid layer, another shape layer, and let's just hit polygon. Yep. So there is this polygon, and let me just make it stroke 0. There we go. So both of them don't have any strokes. Now perhaps the rotor brush tool might work. Is you can see it's now in the background, sort of. This is ahead, this is behind, and if you just hit Alt, you are making this in the foreground and that in the background. So that's the basic thing. Let me just create let me just make its fill different. Okay, there we go. Now you can understand. If I just go Alt and keep it out here, it just becomes in the background. But if I just drag it around there, wait a minute, let me just check that out. Alt. No, the background and foreground thing doesn't work out because we have got things in different layers. You just need to, you just need to do that to make it in a different layer. It just now comes ahead. So I hope you understand how it works. I will just teach you the rotor brush tool in a footage because it won't work right now. And there we go. I have covered everything up. Perhaps if I am missing something, I don't think I am missing something. So I told you, if you need presets and effects, you can go Adobe Bridge, and then you would get some great stuff. Animation presets, behaviors, backgrounds. You can just mess with that thing. And let me just select my component composition keyframe assistant that I told you how it works. Keyframe interpolation is what I'm going to teach you right now. Yeah, so the interpolation that I was talking about is, let me just create a new layer, a new shape layer, and let us just keep it there, and let's just make it smaller, a bit more smaller. Just hold shift so that your just hold shift so that your shape remains intact. Let me just and let's just move the anchor point to the middle. Alright, well, there's a tweak for an anchor point, so that you can just move it up, right, or down, whatever. I'm just going to show you how to make this stuff. Well, just drag your timeline there, and now what we're going to do is hit position, and then just make it go on to the top. Go shift page down, shift page down, shift page down, a little bit up, yeah, and then move it there. Shift page down, and then move it down. Oops, just move it down there. Shift page down, and just move it right there. So we just created a curve out there, but that was an accidental curve, I must tell you. But what interpolation does is actually do make it curve. So if we just make it Bezier, so it will just be a more curvy thing. It just curves around it, and there we go. What we are going to do right now is that just make it a bit. What we're gonna do is just drag the keyframes together, so the animation becomes more faster and more easier to deal with. So there we go. So the interpolation becomes kind of curvy between those lines, and that's keyframe interpolation for you. And you could see that these dots are more intact, and these are more separate. So if they are separate, then they are faster, and if they are closer, then they are a lot slower. So to maintain the speed, you must hit row across time, and then you've got your speed balanced. So you can just check that out. Now the speed is the same, so it is not differentiating around the animation. So you can just make it a lot of better. And the other thing that I want to tell you about motion blur, so just hit this one, enable motion blur, and then enable motion blur out here. So if you just see it now. Well, let's just make this one preview. Let's just make a preview. Well, I have added the motion blur. I don't know. It must be working. Yeah, actually you can actually tell the difference with and without motion blur. Yes, that there is a difference, but you can't see it. It's a very minimal difference out here. Well, you can increase that and make it a bit more better. So that's motion blur for you, and you can just hide things if you want to. Just Control Z that and stuff like that. So we just alright. Yeah, and the thing, let me just show you a thing or two about masks. Well, let's just create a new layer, a solid layer. Alright, let me just drop it down. Yeah, alright. And then let me just create a mask, not the polygon tool again, but a star tool. Yeah, a star tool might do. But we don't want a we don't want a new shape layer, but we want a mask. So you can see we have created our mask right there. And let me just drag it a bit more bigger. Oops, let me just see that. Alright, yeah. So oops, it's again to create a mask you must first select this one, and then you can try to create another shape. Alright, just select this one, and then you have a star out there, and it's actually so you can just move it around. You can just have its anchor around there. So this is also another cool way of bringing things up. So this is a star created by a mask, and you can transform the mask opacity and stuff like that, and mask path, its shape, its feather, its pixels, its expansion. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't think expansion and feather would help you, but just to give you a little bit of idea. And if you have this one on, then it can cause you problems. It can just change your shape, but if you just turn it off, then it will be a intact shape as one. So you don't have to create another shape out there. You can just create a solid layer and create masks. So that's mask for you, and you can create masks on many other things and stuff like that. Other than that, we have our effects. I told you about effects, what you should do. Just make it, run with it. Composition, well, I will show you how to export it in a while, how you can export things, and you can even save frames as files or even Photoshop layers, so that you can then just make differences and make changes in Photoshop and save it as a file or as a image or anything else. You can save the frame as and preview. Well, play current preview and preview. Well, it's not that important, I believe. And you can even trim the composition to your work area. So the composition will be just this much as you need. So that's pretty much it. And in editing, you can just split a layer. You can split the layers, and you can even label things up, like if you want the layer to be orange or stuff like that. Yes, it can be helpful. It actually depends upon you. And this is some pretty basic stuff. And then you've got effects. Effects, as I told you, you must just learn to move with it. Let me just create an animation and show you how you can create other stuff. Like, alright, let me just make it go this way, then it just turns. See, our interpolation was Bezier, so it just creates curves around there even if you don't want to. So let's just easy ease them, keep them and easy ease them, right? Yep. And as you see it, you can just see, yeah, that's your basic animation. And you can click it and then go to animation, and you can apply an animation preset. You can easy ease and stuff like that. You can track. So the thing about tracking is I'm going to teach you. Yeah, so the thing about yeah, so that was a pretty cool keyframe sort of effects. And the next things are pretty much in 3D, and those 3D stuffs will be covered later on. But other than that, we have got, yes, yep, we have got many other things like frame blending. That's for slow motion, that will be covered in the movie stuff. And this one is also for slow motion. This just transforms the layers, and you can just add a marker. These are blending modes. You can add saturation and hue and play with the color, and you can just bring that layer to front and arrange it, and you can just pre-compose the layer to a different composition. Camera, stereo 3D rig, you can create a 3D layer and a 3D camera. Well, that's not something of use, but if you use it for making a 3D movie with, so that you can watch it with 3D glasses, then you can use it. And then link focus distance to layer, set focus distance to layer, so it just sets focuses on the between the camera and the layer. The camera sets focuses to the other layer. That's basically what happens. And perhaps I have covered everything basically up. Animations, I told you about this stuff, and you can just browse presets and effects, and then you can track motion and track camera will be covered in the motion part, movie part, where we'll be adding texts that will be tracking the motions and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's probably it. And this is just a window. You can add windows out there. You can see effects and presets are selected. So there you go, character. So you know the character comes along. That's the window part for you. You can add some extensions, and you can change your workplace. Yeah, that's basically it. And I toggled you with the switches, so you must be knowing how it works. I told you about the composition, only the 3D part, and some movie effects like track motion and other stuff like camera and what's it called? Clone stamp tool is just left. Other than that, everything is covered up. So you know the basics to start with, and you know how to make a simple animations, but more hard and difficult ones are coming up. So stay tuned, and hope you learned very cool things in this lecture. See you in the next video.